You can't tell that?
All right.
You can't tell that I love him? I would not have a ring on my finger if I didn't love him.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I'm not. Am I dumb? No, I'm not dumb.
I didn't say you're dumb.
Okay, well...
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're talking to you guys about Bliss and her dad and Zach and the beef that they actually had. It was quite interesting because this is a dismissive and hypocritical behavior her dad was fostering in these moments, right? But is there something deeper we can look at it as? Is there something else that we should be looking at as well within the interaction of that? It was definitely dismissive, and there are aspects of hypocrisy which Bliss called out. But can we look at further? Is there more to the story than what we're just seeing on the surface of things? I think there's a greater amount of a story that we can unearth from watching those particular clips with the interaction between Bliss and her father as well. So if you want to know more, then make sure you stick with this video, okay? If you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the mineral. I said you got the minerals. All right, let me stop that. Behave yourself. All right, listen, let's get into the video. Let's not play around. Let's get into the video, okay? Because this particular part was kind of painful to watch.
I'm not going to get married just to get married.
That's what you're doing.
Bomba clot.
Do I think that he's the right person for that? I don't know.
All right, cool. So he said, listen, you're just trying to get married because you're just getting married because not necessarily because you love him, but yeah, you're desperate for marriage, basically, right? And listen, let's be honest. She has told us herself that her previous boyfriends were assholes and their father didn't like any of them, right? Now, Zach is no different. So before we get on the dad and start saying something that's wild about him, the one thing we can acknowledge is Bliss has told us in the past that these men have been assholes. If she tells them the truth about how they got together, even because they only told part of the truth, so we saw. He said more of the truth with the mum. If he told the full truth, I don't know if he did, the full story about how he chose another woman before he chose her, I don't think that this is going to go down. It's going to go probably even be more worse if it goes down the way it did. So having the fact that he never knew that the father, but reacted to Zach in this particular way, I mean, let's give him some points at least, because Zach told us in his own words, don't say I'm not an asshole, right? It basically said in his own words, like, don't say I'm not an asshole because, baby, I got some asshole in me, right? When she was saying, I don't think he's an asshole. So clearly she has there's issues with her picker. It is off, right? Now, what I saw was an overly emotional mom, and I saw a man who also doesn't do emotions very well, expresses his emotions very well. And the two were supposed to be a compliment, but eventually it found its way to being destructive. Somehow, some way, we don't know the story, so we won't go into it. But we found a way where it became destructive. And then even the divorce itself was so destructive because the way that Bliss was even talking about how, it was painful and, it was deep for her in the sense of them going through the breakup and the divorce, which was messy is a better word I'm looking for. It was messy, the divorce, right? So that tells you the kind of divorce that they did have, their parents. Now, let's listen a bit more to what the father said and we'll break it down some more.
I mean, how can you know in 20 days? It's crazy. Maybe Zach is the type of person that she's interested in. He's a talker for sure. And
now, one thing I will say is, as the dad has said clearly, he's finding it very difficult to be able to align the fact there's been 20 days and her wanting to marry somebody, right? Now, especially if she's got history and past form of choosing really bad men, this is going to further exasperate his feelings in terms of her making a decision solely based on, let's say, the frivolities of love and emotions and getting swept up in the whole whirlwind and the whole fantasy of being in a relationship. And I definitely feel like Bliss carries some of those traits as well when it comes to fantasy and bliss. Because like I said, someone choosing you second, we don't do that around here. Okay, people choosing you second, we don't do that round here. We told you about this about Ariana and Jarrett. It's the same thing for Zach here. He double backed after even going on a honeymoon with a girl and got rejected, and that's only when he wants to come back for you. So all the talk about I was thinking about you from day one. Cap. cap, because when you were in the honeymoon, you were fully trying to get Irina to conform and be on your side. It's only the fact that she rejected you from day one why you start thinking about Bliss. Let's be honest now. Let's be honest. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So she has picked another arsehole in some shape or form. Now, I really like Zach. I think Zach could be really cool for her, but I'm still seeing some arsehole in him in terms of the fact that, yeah, you chose her second, bro. Let's keep it a buck and stack. So does the father have some quip against the situation? I mean, technically, I'm still saying that Bliss's choice of Zach isn't the right one.
The lawyer, which at least I think he's a lawyer, right? You've checked his background and everything like that, so you know what he is, right? He's obviously an intelligent man. I mean, you can't go to school and become a lawyer.
Okay, so they're still talking about obviously, you know, him being a lawyer, etc. I want to get to where they have further conversation, because I think this was really important, where he starts talking about, where he starts being very dismissive, and this is where I would say that he has to take accountability for the way that Bliss is, because as much as you might have been fighting the mom, etc., etc., your dismissiveness is what's also caused the first daughter to go away, and now the second daughter potentially might be marrying somebody and not want to have anything to do with you, because your dismissiveness is a problem. As a father, you cannot be dismissive of people's emotions, feelings, and their sentiments. You can't do that. You have to acknowledge it. You have to be aware of it and have a conversation about it oftentimes, right? Give them a safe space. You are the first male they're encountering. And so whatever trash you bring to the table, that's the kind of trash they take into relationships. So while you may be talking about my daughters may not choose the right kind of men, you have to ask yourself, what kind of man were you? What did you teach her? Because remember, kids learn through observations of how you treat people. So if you don't treat the mom correctly, guess what happens? Guess what happens? They learn that too. Okay? They learn that too. Let's get into it.
I don't think he'll be able to match her whatsoever. You know, you're an educated woman.
Exactly. So you just have to trust
and
me.
you're 32, so you get to make your own decision.
Thankfully, yes.
But it's definitely not something I would ever do.
Okay, Dad.
Okay, so fair point you make, right? You know, you're 32, you're grown, you can make your own decisions. It's something I wouldn't do, you know. But then the next line should really be, but I'm gonna support you still. Right? That's next line. But no, he still has a forkful and a mouthful to say. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I feel this way. And I'll keep it short, and maybe I'll do a second video on this. I think the reason why is because he sees the mother in the daughters. Let me open up those kind of worms. I think the reason why he feels he's pushing back so hard, and you know what, this is a bit close to home, so I know this kind of energy, is that you see the mother who you disagreed with and probably had an issue with in a relationship, and you see it in Bliss, and that's actually what you're pushing against. You don't want her to become like the mother. You see, right? So you're trying to push against it.
I don't expect you to understand.
That's good.
And that's okay.
Probably don't. So.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Like, he makes these comments that are not necessary. You know, that's good, because you know, I'm not gonna understand. Why are you adding that commentary? You don't need to. The incessant need to keep on adding your 2 penny pence and your little commentary into it is giving that you're you want to just be right rather than really be understanding. In the family, we're not trying to be right. We're trying to be understood. This is critical. If you're always trying to win, you're going to lose. Love is a losing game. It's not only when people want to win and want to be right that we lose people. When we're trying to go for understanding, yes, we may have arguments. We may even lose certain battles, but the war will always be won because everybody's focused on what understanding. And as a father, he should be hitting up the understanding part, not being at the point where you're just a judge and not without any compassion and correction. Again, I would agree with him. I think Bliss chooses bad men, and Zach is one of those bad men. If I'm honest with you, not that he's a bad, but it's a bad choice because he is actually an arsehole. He ain't no different than the other people. And she has the ability to keep looking at people and going, I see the best in you. And now that's a beautiful trait, but it doesn't help with relationships. Okay? All right? And choose men. You know, so, you know, he was very dismissive of her and, you know, very, very poor with his energy. In fact, I want to bring this clip up because I think this was a better indication of what kind of Bliss was facing in this moment.
We see that I'm serious in this. Clearly, I love him. You can tell that I love him.
All right.
You can't tell that?
All right.
You can't tell that I love him? I would not have a ring on my finger if I didn't love him.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Man said, all right, whatever. The amount of dismissiveness that's going on right now means that you're actually circumventing her growth emotionally. What you've taught her is not to be in tune with her emotions. What you've taught her is not to listen to her own feelings and her own intuition. What you're teaching her is your opinion don't matter here. Your thoughts don't matter here. All right then. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go on. Okay. And what you're doing is actually you're instilling doubt and fear in her rather than actually confidence to say, hey, make a choice. If it's a wrong choice, we can double back. We can come back around of it. We can choose differently next time. All you're installing is fear and doubt. And fear and doubt don't make good factors in choosing a partner. They actually make things so much more worse. So as a father, again, you're meant to institute confidence in your children, not install fear. You get it? That's a survival mindset and tactic, not a thriving one. Now, I'm sure he cares about his daughter. I definitely don't disbelieve that. But all right, like you're talking to a friend. That's your daughter, not your friend.
Am I dumb? No, I'm not dumb.
I didn't say you're dumb.
Okay, well, I'm not going to get married just to get married.
That's what you're doing.
Now, the way that Bliss's energy is telling me that this is not the first time she's encountered some of this pushback, and the way that he pushes back in a particular way. Look, he cannot like the boyfriends, but there's a way you go about it. And I think she's had one too many times this incident has happened to her. And so this pushback is like, am I dumb? I'm not dumb. I can make my own choices in it. And you can see that energy of her now being defensive about it, because I think it's one too many times. Right? One too many times. It's happened before. And the way he's so comfortable with the subtle, under the cover kind of disrespect to his own daughter, in a sense, by cutting her off. Oh, but I was in the middle of my point and you cut me off and I don't remember what I'm going to say now. I'm going to lose my train of thought. Bro, you cut her off 1 or 2 times too. So for me, good leadership starts with the head. Man, we got, as fathers, we got to show our kids how we want to behave and how we expect them to behave. Don't just behave in anyhow, anyway, and expecting a good return. Anyway, listen, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you guys. The locks are loaded. I don't want to go too much longer than that. Love and appreciation, guys.